Hi, welcome back. Okay, that little bundle of joy and love over there cost me £112, would you believe, to buy all of that. That is what I consider to be enough materials to finish this tail and do the laminate and fiberglass. I guess I could have gone to an industrial laminating company supplies, got it by 5 litre containers and so on, and you save money, but I'm not going to use all that. So you kind of save money per quantity, but you don't save money overall because you're buying massive quantities that you're not going to use. So I hope not to have to do much more than the tail. I'm not planning on making a boat or anything. I'm only making a little tailpiece. So that I think is enough. I've got 3 kits there that have got 3 square meters into the square meter in each one. I've got an extra square meter and 2 square meters of this fiberglass tissue, which is super thin, lightweight, flexible stuff to give me a nice surface on the top, so I'm not having to fill it all with filler primer and whatnot. So hopefully thinking ahead, kind of using the right materials. A lot of advice from you, thank you for that. Honestly, the advices and guidances that I've had from you have been really immense on this. They've helped out a great deal. Many of the choices made in that and so far have been from your suggestions, so thank you for that. That's why I love YouTube. The clay, the mesh, which I've already all used. The clay is a little tiny piece left, about the size of a golf ball, so pretty much there's 5 pounds of clay hanging on the back of this bike at the moment. Packing tape, kitchen foil, brushes, sandpaper. I've got some more aluminium oxide paper for sanding it all down afterwards. You know, you have to think ahead. When you're planning anything like this, you've got to think ahead. Big old shopping list, and then you start to think, should I just made it out of steel? And when you feel the weight of all that stuff and the weight of all that resin, I'm wondering if it will be any lighter than a steel one. Imagine a piece of 1.2mm thick steel against a 5mm thick piece of fiberglass that's going to be strong enough and not flex. You know, it's all there, it's all considerations. Anyway, we're well under on the weight, so I'm not too worried. That little lot's bought and paid for. I'm going to update the board so I'm up to date on the money spent out, and I've got no room to put today's session in, so I'll clear all that off first, get that up to date, and I'll show you where we were at the end of the last video, because one clip got corrupted, so you're not quite up to where this is. I'll show you in a sec. Let's do the board first. Welcome back. Right, okay, we'll fill that in at the end. Now, at the end of the last video, I had this crazy idea to make an outro. That's the last little bit of the video where I covered it all up with cloths and tissue, wetted that all down, then covered it up with this bin liner so that it's all completely moist underneath there and it stays wet. It doesn't crack up and dry like it did before. That was a lesson learned in that. And it has seemed to stay okay, I think, from the feel of it. But I haven't had a look underneath here since the other day when I did this. It's been about 3 days since I did this. So I'm going to get cracking into it now and see if it looks as good as it did. The idea was that it stays moist and wet and that it doesn't dry out. See, on the tub, on that tub for the clay, it says air dried clay. I had to think about that. Isn't all clay air drying? Doesn't clay dry if you leave it in the atmosphere? Is there any other kind of clay that doesn't dry if you leave it in the atmosphere? I don't know. But ultimately, this was drying out and cracking horribly, as you saw. So that's no good. I had to keep it moist, and I would have wanted to have shown that at the end of the video, but it didn't happen because the footage corrupted and I couldn't recover it. So there we are. Anyway, let's unwrap this now and see what it looks like underneath. Right, there we are. I have precisely that much clay left out of a 15-pound tub of it, and what I'm going to do first is with slip, with water, wet fingers, I've got to get over the whole thing and just smooth everything out, get all these little ripples out as much as I can. All I've got to do is use what's remaining of that and slip to try and get this as smooth and silky as possible, then dry it off a little bit, then it's into the tin foil, because today I am going to laminate this. I'm going to put fiberglass on this today. I definitely am. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Right, it's 11 o'clock, coming up 11, and this just seems to be a time thing. You just have to take time, and the more you look at it, the more you see little imperfections, which with this kind of rounded edge tool, you can kind of massage the bumps back flat and then kind of spread it around, and you can just make it more perfect as you go. And I think the more time taken to get the plug straight and smooth, then the less time with filler and sandpaper, which is time and money. So ultimately this is time well invested, but it is boring, so I'm going to fast forward. I'm going to give this another hour to try and get this as smooth as I can. Just take my time. Join me again in an hour. Hopefully this will be ready to lay the foil on. Okay, I think that's about as good as it's going to get. You get a quick look see there. An hour well spent. Right. A mini adventure. Okay. Now as that's now as good as it's going to get, it's smooth and silky. It's absolutely symmetrical as much as I can see and feel, and sits straight on the bike, front to back. Superb. That's as good as I'm going to get it. So now the next thing is to work towards getting the first cast of it, the first bit of fiberglass over the top, and that involves putting tin foil over this to seal it all underneath. Once that's all nicely hugged in and smooth, then I can put tape over that. The tape, sellotape, packing tape, whatever it is, acts as a mold release because fiberglass doesn't stick to that cellophane tape, it just picks straight off. Also to protect the back of the tank, any other areas of the bike so fiberglass doesn't get on it, because now it is finished painted. Although there's clay over it, that will just wipe off. Right, tin foil. Right, been able to lift the tail at the back, tilting that forward, which brings the sides in, makes it a bit slimmer, which I like, and at the same time gives it a bit of a stance. It was flat, so that's much better. And now it's all covered in the foil and the tape. You can move it around, I can shove it around and twist it because it's all contained. Let's get on with it.
falling on concrete, leaving no behind. Now you swear to be my enemy, victim of your cards. I'm running in the dark, I venture into nothing. Gone into the night, won't you come and hold my hand? Master of the sun, master of the sun. Master of the sun, memories falling on concrete, leaving you behind. King of silence in this reverie, victim of our cards. I'm running in the dark, I venture into nothing. Master of the sun, master of the sun.
Best, aren't they? Right, watch out, welcome back. No, that's the beginning of the video. After that as an outro. Right, okay, there we are. Clean 6.5 hours on this today. Absolutely mammoth task and monster session. I really have enjoyed that. It's been a fantastic day. I've got lots and lots done. 2 thicknesses of fiberglass all over it and 3 in certain areas like the seat, so it's nice and strong for now. There's going to be more to come. I'm going to put more strength underneath it. I'm going to brace it underneath with pieces of lightweight wood, and they'll all be fiberglass and laminated in underneath it to keep it strong. It's got the light tunnel going in, so there's lots that's going to make it beef. That is all it needs to have, just 3 layers of fiberglass at this point. Now, the next thing, I've got some of that tissue, that fiberglass tissue. I'm just going to put that over the top to give it a nice smooth finish. It will add a little bit more strength at the same time. The reason for that is I don't want loads of filler all over this. I mean, it's still knobbly, and I don't want to go gobbling loads of filler over that and then having to rub it all back. I think what a far nicer way to do it is tissue over that, gives me a much smoother finish, a little bit of sanding, and then after that, just some filler, thick high build primer, and then I can just paint it. So that would be great, and it will keep the weight down, which is what this is all about. So thank you for the advices that 2 of you gave us. That's really cool. One was to say make sure you get all the air bubbles out. That's important, and I haven't got a single air bubble in it anywhere. It is possible if you don't take care. And the other one, the most important piece of advice I really appreciate, was not to overload the matting with too much resin. I think it's a novice mistake to go doing that, to go painting loads of resin over it to make it all shiny, but it's not good because it becomes brittle and that stuff cracks. It must be only enough to penetrate the weave and no more, and that's what I've done. So thank you so much for your advices on that. I've followed those, and I think I've made a better result because of it. Everything's looking good. I'm happy with that so far. So join us for the next one, and I think I'll get that tissue over it, and then maybe I might have the courage to pull it off the mould. You never know. See you next time.